Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Alvin Peters live with Alvin After Dark. What's going on? What's going on? Once again, it's brought to you by BMW of Freeport, located at 291 West Sunrise Highway in Freeport, New York. You can visit their service apartment located at 100 Cleveland Avenue in Freeport, New York, or visit myself at the sales apartment. I'm at 516-740-6132. Recap from last show. I want to thank my boy Mr. Boots for coming out last week, and we spoke about engagement rings. Before that, friends of the show, friends support the Diocese of Belize, SmashMouthFM.com out of Atlanta, Ricky E. Smith, DJ Morefire, my boy Eric with Unapologetic, the show before Mines. Also, check out tomorrow night, 10 p.m. for Simply Real with Catherine and Danielle. They got some good topics. Once again, fashion, entertainment, and relationships. The ladies are doing a great, great job. Also, Miss Shantice Hogue, Simply Crafted for You. She makes all her natural skincare products, and she is definitely a gem. But once again, last week, it is definitely May. It's a cold May. What a wonderful fall we're having this spring. LA is definitely cold out here. Definitely cold. I don't have a co-host tonight. I'm sorry. I just don't have one. So it's gonna be all about me tonight. But so it's wedding season, and last week we spoke about, does the engagement ring define the relationship? And it's very, very interesting because I learned so much about these topics that I find, and actually I want to shout out to Miss D. Scott when she called in, and myself and Ellie kind of researched it, and it was very, very interesting. And what was very interesting was, after I researched it after the show on MSN the next day, I found out that in 1940s, it was the 1940s, 1947 to be exact, that a copywriter for De Beers came up with the slogan, "A diamond lasts forever." And that's how they got the whole diamond thing, and that's how the whole engagement diamond frenzy thing kind of took off from that date. A diamond is forever, or a diamond lasts forever. I know I wrote it down on my Facebook. But this evening, going back from the diamond, the diamond engagement ring, and people were asking a lot of questions about it. Actually, I threw the topic up on Facebook, and people commented, and people were calling me and things like that about it, and saying that I do want a big ring, or I don't want a big ring. I'd rather have a nice home with my husband than have a big wedding, or I'd rather a man who's gonna be truthful to me and faithful to me than someone who's just buying me a big ring to shut me up. So it's very, very interesting. But tonight's topic is being left at the altar. Now, one of my boys, Sidney Smith, what's going on out of Texas, asked me, how do you come up with these topics? And brother, I just be thinking. But seriously, what happened is that I had a Masonic meeting with a couple of my Masonic brothers, and we were all dressed alike. And obviously I like to wear my handkerchief and my flower on my lapel. So we happened to be out. We had went to brunch and got something to eat after our meeting. And we're all dressed alike, black suits, white shirt, black ties. And LA, someone says to me, a woman says, y'all look nice. You coming from a wedding? So I said, yes. She said, whose? I said, mine. She said, so what are you doing here? I said, I never made it down the aisle. Now I'm playing. I'm actually joking around. And she's just like, oh my God. So what happened? Like, where's the bride? I said, I don't know what a bride is. I said, but I'm here. She asked my boy Tim. She goes, well, who's the best man? Tim goes, well, I'm the best man. She goes, well, what happened to the reception? Tim's like, the reception is right here. Right here at the restaurant. And one woman heard her, another woman heard her, and the questions were just coming. I kind of just went with it, because it was by this time it was 5-10 minutes into the conversation, and I'm cracking up. But what got me was, none of the women were upset, LA. They were like, you know what? Well, at least you did it before, even though it was the day of your wedding. That was very interesting.
Yeah. I will tell you, the worst thing ever is getting married when you knew you shouldn't have gotten married. And I've talked to a lot of people who got divorced, separated, and they all said the same thing. They all said the wedding day, they knew, they deep down they knew they were making a mistake. And I'm like, well, why
Why'd you do it?
But he said, you don't understand all the people there with it planning for months and the money and everything and I'm telling you, it's better off in the end
That's
to
right.
just really don't do it.
It's better off just
because you're gonna ruin
your life,
more lives, and if you have children, it gets worse. So it is crazy to leave somebody at the altar. I mean, that's devastating. But I think that person probably would rather be left at the altar than to go through 10 years or 20 years of a bad marriage and waste their life for
Because it's a lot of we see it out here on Long Island too. A lot of divorce out here. I see
it's like 50%, right?
Yes, it's high on Long Island, and I see a lot of the dealership where people, men or women come in and say, hey, you know what, I'm going through a divorce. I can't get this kind of car because, or I'm going through a divorce. I can't get into another BMW because I'm going through a divorce, and it's like, wow. But I have pictures for you, which are very funny pictures, and like I said, I did the research in the past 24 hours, and I could not believe the amount of information that was out there about men and women. What's one of the first pictures that we have there?
Yeah, do we need any particular order? Or
no particular order at all.
All right, let's see what we got here.
So this gentleman, and these are real pictures that were taken. I don't know what year this was. I don't know when it was, but this gentleman was left at the altar, and as you can see, he wasn't too happy. So he was definitely left at the altar, and like I said, he definitely was not too happy. What's next one you got? Yes, she was leaving.
She's in the act of
walking
away right
she's
now.
in the act of walking away. That was, and these, once again, people, these are real pictures that were taken, and apparently she felt like no, he wasn't ready. What Kevin Hart say? He wasn't ready. So no, she wasn't ready actually. She definitely wasn't ready. But before we go on to the next one, I want to read a couple things to you. So like I said, I'm always doing research because it's very interesting. And what was interesting was on, I'll tell you right now where I actually found it, if I can get myself together. But on Huffington Post, that's where I found it. Real life left at the altar moments you have to read. And these are very, very interesting. The first one is today. These are actual comments from actual. Most of them are brides or was supposed to be brides. So today was my wedding day, and he didn't show up. So he just ain't come. Number 2, I got cold feet on my wedding day. I stood him up and never came back for him. Number 3, after he didn't show up to the wedding, he sent his friend to give me a plane ticket back home. He didn't even say goodbye. So all these are real life situations that actually happened that I found. And if you know anyone that was in that position, call in, let us know, please. 516-945-9099. The fourth one was, I left my fiance at the altar for my ex-boyfriend who got back from Afghanistan the day before. Best choice I made in my life. So once again, she felt like, hey, you know what? I'm marrying the wrong man. And, the person that she was really in love with and wanted to marry, she married. So there you have it. Number 5, my fiance of 4 years left me for my best friend on our wedding day. Wow, that's a smack in the face. So, once again, if I don't even know what to say about that one. That's actually very interesting. Number 6, after a 9-year, hold on, we got a caller. You're live with Alvin After Dark. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Joaquin. I'm calling from the Bronx.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm okay.
You have any questions or comments about today's topic?
Yeah, man, about being left at the altar.
Okay.
I think I think before that happens, that both individuals should be like know whether they're going to make that commitment or not.
That's
You
true.
can't get cold feet. You can't get cold feet after you spend thousands of dollars and did everything else, and then you just leave the person at the altar, you know, and looking crazy.
Definitely, definitely.
I mean, you know, something like that happened to a cousin of mine, unfortunately, and you know, when we caught the dude years later, we had to put some hands on.
Okay. Okay, if you feel that was right. Okay.
I mean, you know, was it right to put hands on him? No, but you know, the everything my cousin went through, my aunts, my uncles, family members came from out of town.
Definitely,
You
definitely.
know, for this big event, she was like the first female in our family to get married, and then
Wow,
the
okay.
old boy to turn around and just say, "Oh, I can't do this." You know, it's crazy. I'd rather him had divorced her than just, you know, or got the marriage annulled than just, you know,
Got you.
go through that situation.
Yeah, it's it's definitely it's a challenging situation, by all means, and and for the person, who's leaving the other person at the altar, you kind of wonder what they're going through and why they even have decided to leave that person at the altar. And once again, like I said, I don't know, I don't know you out on your situation, but a peace of mind and happiness goes a long way, brother. Yeah, I'm sure you could understand that and agree with that. But it's the right thing to do. Like LA, the producer said, I'd rather do it now than do it later. But we all have our difference of opinions.
No, but you know what? I understand what the caller's saying because,
Yeah.
like you said, this is the first female in the household. This is a big wedding for this family.
That's right.
And it must have been devastating. It must have been embarrassing. She must have been humiliated. So the
Absolutely.
person who's being left, yeah, it's got to be really, really hard. So I definitely feel, but ultimately, like he said, the caller said, he would have rather married her and then divorced her
Okay.
than to humiliate her like that.
Yeah,
So
I
in
agree
a
with
way,
that. I definitely agree with
in
that.
a way, I do understand, but I
Yeah.
wonder if you actually talk to your cousin now, if she would feel that way also, or if she forgive him, in her heart, she forgives him after all this time, or how is she doing now? Is she married again? Like, what is her situation?
Well, her situation is she did get married,
Okay.
and to a good guy. She had she had that wedding that she wanted to have. Fortunately, they separated, but we're still good with that guy. He's still part of the family.
Okay.
When we see him, we're cordial. Just the marriage didn't work out.
Gotcha.
But the individual that left her at the altar, I mean, nobody really talks to him. I mean, I think my cousin, if she sees him, she'll be cordial and she'll talk to him because she's an individual that's like that.
Mhm.
But nobody else from the family will want anything to do with it.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
There's buffers before you even go and get married. I've been married 9 years, so there's buffers between you go married counseling before you make that big step that you're going to do this. This is something that's a lifelong relationship.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't work out in the long run, you just don't leave nobody hanging right there and there.
Yeah, I agree. Because you know what, people need to really make certain. A lot of people just get married because they don't know what to do anymore. They don't want to be alone, and you have to you got to remember it is a lifelong commitment.
Yes,
and
it is.
I just got previously engaged, and I had to ask myself that question hundreds of times. Are you going to be happy spending the rest of your life with this same woman?
And
The
people don't
same-
ask themselves that question.
And you have to realize you're giving up every other woman. You are giving 100% to this woman because you expect her to give 100% to you. You have to take the attitude that I would never cheat on my girl ever again because I would never want her to do that to me.
That's right.
We all know how it feels to be cheated on, or,
Yeah, of course.
and it's the most horrible feeling in the world. So you have to get to that point. So
Yeah.
there's got to be something before that day happens. These couples got to somehow get together and sit down and make sure that everything is okay, because it's a catch-22 because either way, you leave somebody at the altar, you have all that money, you're not going to get back all those people traveled, all the expectations, or you go through with it and you shouldn't have gone through with it, and now you're talking, you still wasted the money, now you wasted time, energy, love, so
Yeah.
you really got to make sure. This is a big decision.
It's double-edged
It's
sword.
the biggest decision of someone's life, and 50% of marriages end up in divorce. People aren't really thinking it through, maybe.
Definitely.
Right. You definitely peer pressure, family peer pressure. I know in the Hispanic community, you are peer pressure to be married by a certain age.
Yes, you are. I definitely know that.
You're peer pressure to be married by a certain age, or you're looked upon by the other women, as a failure if you're not married by a certain age. A big wedding, small wedding, whatever in the chapel, but you need to be married by a certain age. And with that pressure, sometimes people make the wrong decisions.
Yeah. Well, and it's a different world today. Years ago, you got married, everything was taken more seriously. It was all about finding somebody, building a family. Now, people are just inundated with all these, other people that they would have never seen in their lives on Facebook and social media. Everybody starts thinking, oh, maybe I should be with her. Oh, I could do better. Or, this person's so much prettier than my girl, blah, blah, blah. And people are not satisfied anymore.
Because they're competing with one another.
It's like a competition.
Exactly.
You go to
Like
one
brother
wedding,
said.
you go to one wedding and you say, well, they had a champagne fountain, but in my wedding, I want a champagne fountain, but I want it with Dom Perignon.
Or chocolate.
Yeah, or they died of a chocolate, or we're going to have, forget about the fountain, we're just going to have people pouring it, just, top of the line thing. Has become more of a reality show to get married than an actual commitment.
Definitely. Well, listen, I definitely appreciate you calling, and definitely appreciate it, brother, calling. You said Joaquin, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother, for listen. Keep tuned in. Alvin After Dark every Tuesday, 11 p.m., 12 a.m., brother. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
Good night.
That was a good call.
Definitely was. It definitely was a good call.
Because he experienced what it did to somebody in his family.
That's right.
And I didn't really think of the other side of it.
Neither did I.
And now I really, so it kind of, I definitely hear it, yeah.
Yeah. He was very serious, and he was definitely. Well, brother, thanks again for calling and tuning in. And I think I was on number 6. After a 9-year relationship and nearly 2 years of being engaged, my partner canceled the wedding. I don't know how I will survive. Like you just said earlier, because one person is going to love someone more, and that person is going to be so into it that it is a devastating event. So if you're looking to get married and it's something, well, if you're supposed to be getting married and it's something you don't want to do, my suggestion is you do it before the wedding date, and you start spending all this money, and you embarrass someone, you embarrass yourself, you embarrass your family members. And if you are living at the altar, my suggestion is what you do is make it a big party. They say whenever if life gives you lemons, make lemonade and add some vodka to it. Definitely make some lemons out of lemon. I mean, make lemonade out of lemons. Number 7 was I just got left at the altar. My fiance ran off with my maid of honor. Now that's crazy. See that right there is just Joaquin. That deserves a beat down. Definitely. Number 8. I didn't show up to my wedding. It was 2 days ago. Instead, I was at the hospital with my sister. She had an emergency surgery. My fiance broke up with me. What do you think about that one, L.A.?
I think he's lying. I don't believe him.
It was actually a woman.
No. Oh, she said that?
Yeah.
Is it true? Is it proven that her sister was in surgery?
It didn't say or not.
It just sounds to me.
It does sound like bullshit.
It sounds to me like it's.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she really wasn't in emergency surgery. Oh, I don't know. Your wedding or your sister's emergency surgery.
I was just saying that to you.
It's a tough call, right there.
It is, but well, all these, like I said, came from Huffington Post, and they all true. It said, Number 9 was I totally ditched my wedding the day before and left for France. I got married 8 months later in France.
With another woman?
I didn't say.
We need more information. We need more facts.
I know, man. We need more facts. It just didn't say though. It just said 10 real life situations. The last one was I left my fiance on our wedding day and went to a rave.
That's ridiculous.
Now that's some crazy nonsense right there. That's some crazy nonsense. And I now want to share some other pictures with you. So this one, I know LA wants. LA is laughing.
Go ahead, you explain that.
Well, this one is I think it happened in China. I think it was last year, the year before last, where and I think they have arranged marriages from what the article was saying, and she was trying to kill herself because the husband to be was left her at the altar, didn't want to marry her. So as you can see, she's devastated. So we can make fun of the situation here, but for you folks out there, I want you to think about that in depth of what you can do to that person mentally and spiritually. You can break them down by not showing up to that altar.
When I first looked at that picture, I wasn't sure if he was throwing her out the window.
I know, right? I know. So, and once again, like I said, I actually was doing a lot of research about this because it was very interesting. So, from health.howstuffworks.com, it was 10 reasons he'll get cold feet. Now, this is for the men that get cold feet. And it counts down, so it's from number 10 to 1 actually. And number 10 is disagreement on major issues. Before you get married, there's some pretty good major issues that should be discussed. Hopefully, they've come up over the course of your dating and engagement, and you've managed to come to some kind of understanding. But for whatever reason, sometimes these important issues don't get discussed until the wedding gets near. We're not talking about the little things like the toilet paper should hang over or under, or whether just leaving just a tiny bit of juice at the bottom of the carton in the refrigerator. We're talking about major life-changing issues. Disagreement about these are likely to cause problems in a marriage, and they're enough to give a man cold feet. I never knew that. I didn't think that. Actually true. You have big major issues, and they're not discussed, and you guys have conflict in those issues, no matter what they are, will cause someone not to want to marry you. Now, number 9, afraid of lifestyle change. The bachelor life. Friday night at the bar with his best buddies, sitting around eating chips, drinking beer, and watching the football on a Sunday afternoon. There's no reason to expect that these little rituals will change after marriage. Right? Wrong. When you're married, you're responsible to another person. That doesn't mean that you can't ever do anything you want to do. It means that you should run it by your spouse first and be prepared if she would rather you do something else with her instead. So men can't handle the idea that their lifestyle is going to change this drastically. A lot of people say to me, why I'm not married yet, and because I have this bachelor lifestyle that I don't want to answer to anyone. Well, guess what, people? You're damn real. I don't want to answer to nobody. Thank you very much. But you know what? I've been in a long relationship before, and I had no problem adapting to the relationship. No, I wasn't married, but I was living with someone, and I spent most of the person I wasn't, I was involved with and hanging out with that person. You're right. Your time is now not with your boys and the fellas hanging out, watching TV, watching football. Now you have to be mindful now, and it's not really asking that person for permission. I think more so is being mindful of their time and consideration, because they may, women want to spend time with their man. Bottom line, they want you to go shopping with them. I like to go shopping, so that I don't mind going shopping. So they want you to go shopping with them. They want to go food shopping with you. They want to go do errands, and I think that you need that time apart for your own personal errands and your own running around to do and things like that. But for some reason, women, for some reason, on Super Bowl Sunday, always want to nag you. No, I'm just joking. But some do. But just you have to find a woman who likes sports. So you find a woman who likes sports, who likes football. What you do is you have friends come over, y'all watch football together. Or you go out together to the place to watch football, right? Or soccer, or basketball, or whatever it is. Once again, communication is key. You know, and a lot of men are definitely afraid of a lifestyle change. Someone asked me that question recently. Am I afraid to change my lifestyle? No, I'm not. Because if you are in love with someone and you care about that individual and it's a person you want to spend the rest of your life with, more than likely is you're going to be able and willing to change for that individual that you care about. Okay? Number 8. This is very interesting too. Number 8. Not over his ex. And that goes for women too, but this one was speaking about men, but it's on both parties. So no matter what we may say, there are times when our exes cross our minds. It depends on the relationship, of course. If the groom-to-be had a long-term relationship, was engaged, or was even previously married, then that person was a huge part of his life for a significant length of time, and he's not going to get over her very easily, regardless of who he did, regardless of who did the leaving. If he had children with her, then she is still in the picture, and it makes it even more difficult to move on. So yes, it is a challenge. I don't have children, but I do know friends who do. I have family members who do, and moving on, you know, if that individual is trying to move on and move further in their lives, it's a challenging, and that could be a cause for the man to leave you at the altar standing there because he has mixed feelings about the previous relationship. And it's tough. Once again, it all boils down to what it sounds like. All of this boils down to communication, having a good, strong communication and a good foundation with each other. All right. Too much pressure. That's number 7, counting down. Too much pressure. So men don't typically feel the same kinds of pressure that women do when it comes to marriage. There's also still a lot of glorification of the bachelor life and the freedom that it entails. So it makes sense that even in a long-term relationship, the men may not feel as strong of a desire to make a legal lifetime commitment. In his mind, what's the rush? However, some men agree to get married because their girlfriends or family, his or hers, have pressured him. They want to end the constant conversation and they want to make their girlfriends happy, so they go for it. But when they see their girlfriends go into a wedding planning mode and start thinking about the actual marriage, they realize that they only got engaged due to pressure. So if you're out there, man, and you feel like you're being pressured to get married, don't get married. Seriously. If you feel like it's something that she wants to do and you're not ready for, then maybe you're not marrying the right person, and you don't want to be to leave that woman at the altar. Like the brother earlier called, Joaquin said, listen, you don't want to get lumped up. He sees you later on with some family members and you out at the club or you out having a nice social gathering on a Saturday afternoon and you run into the family members of the woman that you just left at the altar and they still have a certain feeling about you, and you may get a little 1 or 2 piece across the head. So, so make sure that you're not being pressured into marry. And listen, it's okay to say, listen, I don't want to get married. It's important that you realize that this is a lifetime commitment. You got, like LA said, you're about to say, I want to spend the rest of my life with you forever. I got to wake up next to you forever. Like, I got to see you for the rest of my life. You, nobody else. Do I want to do that? Do I really want to see you for the rest of my life?
And when you ask yourself that, you have to remind yourself that she has got to ask that same question.
Same question, see?
Because she has to wake up next to you every day. And she has to go to bed with you every day. So when you ask that question, get off your high horse.
That's right.
Because you ain't perfect.
That's right.
And that's one thing that I had to realize. I always would say, oh, do I want to spend? And then I started to look at myself a little bit and you say, you know what? I mean, I do think highly of myself. I love myself. But I am not perfect.
That's right.
And there's going to be these little idiosyncrasies that you're going to have to deal with anybody, whether they're male or female. It's never going to be perfect.
No, it's not.
Never. So you're going to have to deal with little BS things here and there, and you got to figure out who can satisfy you.
That's right.
Because no girl's perfect. They're all going to be a pain in the ass in their own way. Just
That's
like
right.
we're going to be a pain in the ass to them in certain times and situations. But you got to get through that, and you got to end up in the end, when you go to bed at night, it's got to be done, squashed.
It does, because I snore at night. For some reason lately, but to put some pounds on, so I snore. Listen, for some reason, my boys are like, yo, man, what the hell's wrong with you? Why you snore so loud? I snore loud now. For some reason, my snoring is so. Who gonna put up with that?
I don't know. Well, some people may love you so much, but they may not be able to deal with that.
Exactly.
So.
Ever just farted so loud you woke yourself up? Who gonna put up with that, ladies? Because y'all fart too. Y'all fart too. We got we got a couple more pictures. What's the other one we got there? I can't even. What does that say? I know I have it in my phone too.
It says, and it's Apex Wedding Photography. So they're at the photographer studio, and in the event one of you doesn't show up for the ceremony, I can always Photoshop you in later.
Yeah, I knew it was something funny like that. I had it in my phone about to read it. But yes, in the event that someone doesn't show up to the wedding event, you can get them Photoshop. Get them Photoshop with your favorite artist or rapper or singer. What's the next picture? We need another picture over there. And this was actually taken. That was actually Daily News, and that was. If I'm looking at the year correctly, it was Monday, November 24th of 1997. That was one of the first things that popped up when I was doing my research, trying to figure out, what to send you. It was very, 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 very interesting. Once again, that was very interesting. Also, now going back to some of the stuff I found online. Number 6 was immaturity. It's not just a stereotype that girls mature faster than boys, and it's not simply limited to physical maturity. According to one study, boys' brains do not catch up to girls' brains until as late as their 20s. That's from ABC News. Aside from the biological aspect, some observers point to the social delaying of maturity in men. And George Will claims that we're living in a culture of immaturity among the many young men who are reluctant to grow up. That's from Newsweek. He cites a study showing that 13% of men between the ages of 25 to 34 live at home or live with family, versus the 8% of women who live alone. So what happens is, it's saying that men are still immature versus to women, and they're immature. A lot of growing up to do, and just aren't ready. Plain and simple. Yeah, I was funny. I was talking to one of the guys at my job. I won't say his name, and he keeps asking me about his situation, and I keep telling him, I'm like, listen, man, you just and it's reversed, because it sounds like she's too immature for him, which is kind of strange. But she doesn't want to grow up. She doesn't want to do certain things. She doesn't want to get a job. So whether it's a male or female, you have to be kind of on the well. You know what? You have to be on the same page. You have to be on the same page, and this person has to have a drive and things like that, and the things that you want out of an individual to get married, so you won't leave them at the altar. But all these reasons are why men will leave, are not ready to get married and will leave you at the altar, which is very interesting. Number 5, this is very interesting for most people too. Loss of sexual freedom. Unless she happens to be rather unconventional, it's a safe bet that the bride-to-be expects her new husband to be faithful to her for the duration of their marriage. Some men simply can't handle the concept of having only one sexual partner for the rest of their lives. They imagine that they'll get bored eventually, and sex will become... I can't even pronounce this word. Monogamous. I don't know what's wrong with me. Or worse yet, they have no sex at all. Sometimes life simply gets in the way, especially once you have kids. You know, I have heard that before. I've heard that someone's I can't get married because I don't know if I can be monogamous to my relationship. It's very interesting.
I think that's more immaturity that may
Yeah,
fall
I
into
was just gonna say that it has to do with being mature.
Yeah.
You know, I think that because once you start getting older, it's like, I mean,
Well, I mean, I could understand it. You know, you really, that's it. No more women.
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
what
the
it
same
is.
one. You know, you're gonna make love to her every day, or God forbid, you have kids and then it starts to diminish, and then you end up having like no sex. I mean, that's
that's part of
that's
life,
horrible.
right?
That's terrible.
But once again, it goes to do with, like you said, the maturity.
I think so. Because I think when you're immature, you're always trying to impress people. You feel like you're missing something. You gotta have this. You gotta conquer this. You gotta, But when you're older, I think, they say the most successful point in a man's life is in his 40s, because at that point, not that sex isn't important, but he realizes at that age that there is things that are more important than sex. And that age, 40 to 50, is a very, very important year for a man, because that's the time they're going to get most of their stuff done in life.
I'm going on 40 this year.
Get ready, man, because this is it.
But I'm not married. If anybody wants to marry me, can't be my mama first. But loss of sexual freedom. Wow, that's it. You hear a lot of men say, "Wow, I can't do this because of that reason." We got a couple more pictures up there, don't we? Got one more picture up there at the end. Nah, that one right there. Yeah. So, true story. I left my fiance at the altar. So once again, the show's about once it gets wedding season. So, I wanted to bring up this information. There's some great research on it, and like I said, it was very, very interesting about people being left at the altar. And I found actually a lot of information about it, about how many people were actually being left at the altar, and it was very, very interesting. There was some funny stuff on there. There was some sad stuff on there, and there was some stuff where people actually, like I told the brother who called earlier, they made it a big party. Like one young lady said, as I was reading that she just told everyone we're gonna have a great time, and she was able to change the tickets and go with her maid of honor on vacation. So, like I said, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade and add some vodka. The next one is age difference. So, age difference. Age is nothing but a number, right? Not necessarily. Some people believe that a big difference in age between a man and woman shouldn't have any bearing on their relationship, but it does. When a man is with a woman who is much younger than he is, it can make him feel very experienced and wise in comparison. Sexual attraction may also be a part of it. On the other hand, dating a much older woman can be exciting because she might be more confident and open about her sexuality. That's the good part, but a good sexual relationship isn't going to translate to a good marriage. There's no magic formula, but men and women who are widely apart in the age can also be at very different places in their lives, according to love and marriage experts. That's true.
Yeah, definitely. And, sex has nothing. Sex is, you can have great sex with a woman who's older than you, a woman who's younger than you, or vice versa. But the fact of the matter is, that's not going to hold the marriage together. It's not going to hold the relationship together. And I will tell you, I've dated girls who were younger than me my whole life. Okay? And it doesn't really, the odds, and the more the gap, the odds are less in favor that it's going to work out. And I'll tell you why, because it becomes a mental thing at that point.
That's right.
And there's nothing more frustrating when you're trying to communicate with your spouse and you're trying to bring up something from the past, a TV show, a particular musical artist, and they look at you like you have 10 heads. They have no idea what you're talking about. It's weird.
It is.
And sometimes, you know, when you, like the girl I'm with now, we're closer to age, and it's like we just reminisce about shows. We didn't know each other, but we go back because we grew up on the same TV shows. We grew up in the same, you know, the way things were done in our schools, and just the whole generation is different now. So we are always talking about, you know, things that, you know, we used to watch on TV, or how remember how when we used to do this on that, you know, even like, you know, games, like I don't, you know, with kids today with the video games. The way we were when kids and how we grew up, and having those conversations with someone brings you together.
Yes, it does.
And when you take that away, it's hard to connect because now you're relying on the sex and not the mental
depth of the relationship. It's funny because you know, at work they're always playing different stuff, and you know we have our receptionists are very attractive young ladies, and then, you know, one is like 20, or 21, and the other one's like 25 or 27, and I'll joke, and like there'll be a song playing. I was like, "Who's this singing?" And I go, "I don't know." I'm not trying to date them, but I'm saying, like, I'm saying to myself, you know, because, you know, a couple of sales guys are like, "Wow, you know, she looks good. I could date her." I'm like, how? Y'all 10 years apart. She didn't know this is Michael Jackson playing, or Stevie Wonder, or Prince.
Or Prince. You'd be surprised how many kids today
have no clue.
They know of Prince, but they never heard any of his songs.
No clue. It's funny. One of my Facebook friends put a picture of Mr. Roper. See,
Three's Company.
Three's Company. Someone says, if you don't know who this person is, then we shouldn't be friends. But once again, you know, Three's Company, shows like that, and the A-Team, and like even shows in the late 70s and the 80s that were just cool shows, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you know, once again, this is the reason you get your ass left at the altar, because you have no connection, you know. So before you go out and you know, on both sides, you know, if a man proposes to you and he's just, you know, and some men propose to women just for a keepsake. I'm gonna propose to this woman, and I got 2-3 more years in this. That's
to buy some time.
They're buying time. You know, so fellas, if you buying time, don't do that, because you she may be a great woman, and she'd be looking for that great man, or think you're that great man, and you're wasting her time. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, you're wasting your time too.
You know, you're wasting your time because you gave her a keepsake ring, and we're gonna get married. Because once you put the ring on the finger, there should be that's the next show. It should be a timeline. What's the timeline? You know, what's the timeline of once you get proposed? What is that time? You know, I think personally it should be no more than 2 years.
I was just about to say that. I was going to say 2 years.
I said
2
2
years.
years.
More than that.
Yeah.
After that, it's like, all right, well, now what do you do? Yeah.
Because then, you know, you brother like me have her.
Yeah, she's going to get tired of waiting.
I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I tickled myself. All right. Number three on this list is money woes. So discussing your financial situation with somebody else can be very uncomfortable. But if you're going to get married, it's a necessity. Even if you keep separate bank accounts, you're going to have to share bills, and you'll need to decide who will be paying for what. You'll also probably be making large purchases together, such as a car, a house, and you need to plan for the future and things like savings accounts, 401k, IRAs. But what happens if the groom-to-be believes in spending like there's no tomorrow while his fiance is a tightwad? Or what if she's a shopaholic and he carefully watches every single penny? So it goes both ways. You know, money, and they say that financials is one of the number one reasons for divorce. You gotta. It's important, Once you're in a committed relationship, you want to start being financially have a financial communication.
Well, yeah, if you're struggling to pay the bills in
Yeah.
your first year of marriage, that's not good.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
It's definitely a problem. So listen, if you're supposed to get married and you can't afford certain things, you shouldn't have a big wedding. Once again, have a small wedding, and you want to live within your means, and that's one of the reasons someone will stand you up. And once again, these are reasons that people get stood up at the altar. A reason that men, it's actually for men. It says 10 reasons he'll get cold feet. So these are reasons that men will leave you at the altar for money situations. Because I know a lot of women who spend a lot of money on handbags and shoes and makeup, and what happens is that's all they have. Number two, and definitely goes unsaid, is trust issues. Committing yourself to someone else for the rest of your life requires you to let go and trust them. You have to trust that they'll be faithful to you in every way, that they'll always be there, and that your love for each other will be able to carry you through any disagreements that you have over the years. Most of us are willing to make the leap once we find the right person, because we know that there are so many wonderful things that come with making that commitment. Unfortunately, not all men are able to let go and take that leap of faith, especially if they've been burned before. They worry incessantly about whether their fiance really loves them and wants to be with them, whether she's going to cheat or if she's honest about everything. It often comes from his insecurities. And when trust issues are deep-seated, sometimes no amount of reassurance from the woman can make them go away. While counseling can help, it may be something that the concerned groom has to address on his own. I have a lot of female friends, and I talk with a lot of them, and insecurity is big. And let me tell you, fellas, if you're listening, you can't be insecure. You got to be confident within yourself. If you're insecure, it puts doubt on her to not want to deal with you. And you have to be secure. You have to, hold on, we got a call coming in. You're live with Alvin after dog caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, what up? What's going on with the show tonight?
We're talking about getting left at the altar. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Didn't you leave somebody at the altar just last weekend?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you leave somebody at the altar?
Did I leave somebody? I didn't leave anyone at the altar last weekend.
You sure about that? I'm
positive.
I think you left somebody at the altar Saturday.
No, not at all, brother.
Oh, you sure about that?
You and your friends.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened. The story was me and my Masonic brothers were out, and what originally happened was someone was asking us where we coming from, and we actually unfortunately was coming from a funeral, but people kept saying they thought we were at a wedding. So the comment said that I said, "Oh, it was my wedding." So that's what happened. So no, I didn't leave anyone at the altar. So that's where the story came about, and that's how the topic came about.
Oh, okay. You had somebody lie for you too, didn't you?
You had somebody lie for me?
Yeah. You told all your Masonic brothers to say you got left at the altar.
No. They didn't lie for me. They kind of went in with the conversation.
Oh, you was at a funeral?
Yes.
Oh, I remember. I was there.
You were there? Who is this? I know. I don't know who it is though. Who's this?
What?
Who's this calling?
Square. You serious?
Let me tell you something. Yo, bro, I did not recognize your voice at all, man.
I know I had to disguise my voice. It worked too.
Yeah, dude, because I was like, yo, I was like, who the hell is this? You a fool. I was like, wait a minute, did I get married last week? Was I supposed to?
LA the super producer, what's up, brother?
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey, man. Yeah, I had your boy nervous, dude.
I was like,
You did. You know what? I knew more was going on than him. That's why I'm trying to give. I'm like the story that you told in the beginning. I was
you know what? I just got, I'm involved.
But I didn't know. It was either your friend or it was like somebody who knew what you did and they were like mad that you did it. So I was like, I didn't.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure, but
no, a square. When we said it, we told like what 5 different women, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like,
too.
And one girl was like, so what happened? Where is she right now?
One girl asked me, how did your friend do when you went home? I was like, he came home with me, so I don't know.
It was only
not allowed back in that house.
Yeah, it was only a couple of the young ladies who I said I was just joking. And I told them why I said it, and I said, I have a show, and this is what happened, and it, this is what happened. And he's calling me. I'm like, what the hell? I'm trying to figure out, like, who is this? Like, damn. Hope it wasn't Joaquin's cousin. I'm just joking.
So maybe it was
I see you Sunday, man. You funny.
All right, man. See you Sunday.
All right.
I thought maybe it was one of those ladies' husbands.
I know. Hey, I got prank called tonight. I got prank called. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Yes. So once again, if those who just tuned in, what happened, how the show came about was we were out over the weekend, and apparently we were dressed the same, and people kept asking us, where are we coming from? And I said a wedding, and the woman says, well, whose wedding you coming from? I says, well, mine's. I said, I never made it down the aisle, and it just turned into a flow of conversation. And that's how I came up with the topic for tonight's show. And then when I started researching the actual people being left at the altar, I was like, wow. I said, this is interesting. Very, very interesting. So once again, going back to the list again, and it's number 1. So that was number 2. And number one is baggage. We all have baggage in one sense or another. And we're not talking about the kind you have to pay ridiculous fees for to check in at the airport. Baggage just means that we are in some ways the sum of our experiences. Every relationship that we've had in the past shapes how we behave in our future. And that's not always a bad thing. But if those past relationships were full of negativity, there's a real possibility that they will cause problems in the groom-to-be's relationship with his fiancée. This doesn't just extend to past romantic relationships either. Of course, if he was hurt badly by a former partner or went through a messy divorce, he's going to make a difference. However, if the man grew up in an abusive home or has generally difficult relationship with his parents or family in general, this can affect how he views all different types of close relationships. He may not immediately make the connection between the past and the turmoil that he is feeling about getting married. But there's a real possibility that he got cold feet because of the baggage he's carrying. Any of these reasons or combination of them could explain why he got cold feet and left his fiancée at the altar. The truth is, most of the things on this list can be overcome. If the man recognizes them in himself and decides to work on them all, it just needs to happen long before the wedding day. So there are your reasons why you get left at the altar from now that was for men. The other one was actually women, but yes, baggage. We all have baggage. We all have had baggage, but it's funny because I was in a relationship. I was in 2 relationships, right? So I had my high school sweetheart. Long story short, our high school sweetheart was with me for years, and she called someone. Bad situation. Anyway, me and that person got back together. We were in Puerto Rico. And I said to her specifically, I said, I did not break up with her for you. I broke up with her for me so I can be free for you or someone else to come back into my life. And that's important because you have to be able to free yourself from all the baggage and the negativity of any previous relationships so you can move forward and go forward in your next relationship. And I always tell people, if you jump from one relationship to the next relationship, you're not giving yourself time enough to heal. So you have to heal. You have to, and that has to do with the baggage. So if you're going from one person to the next person, all you're doing is taking that baggage and putting in the other bag and creating more baggage. Taking that baggage and putting the other bag and creating more baggage. So now you got baggage up to here. And now what you've done is you're mentally drained, you're spiritually drained because you have all this baggage from previous relationships that you can't control. And you have no control over it, and then now it's overflowing all over you. So my suggestion for the night is if you're going to get married and you're thinking about getting married and you don't want to be the person to be left at the altar or leave that person at the altar, you have to do some self-reflection for yourself and figure out, like Ellie said, this is something that you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. Do I want to be with this person for the rest of my life? Do I want to, like you said, no one's perfect, but you also, want to be perfectly imperfect for the person that you're going to be with. So, you want to make sure that everything is clear, that you're ready and you're ready to go. I know we joke about it, and last week we joked about the woman who came, she was with the old boy the night before, a few hours before, and she says, "This is the reason why you left my house," and you don't want to be in that situation, but once again, you want to make sure that that's what you want to do, because once again, like Cola called earlier, that his cousin was embarrassed and belittled and felt betrayed, and you don't want to be on that side of the fence, But once again, you tune in to Alvin After Dark, and we're here every Tuesday night from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Next month, unfortunately, I will not be here. We still got May left, but next month I'll be on military duty, so I won't be here. I'll be out saving the world. Once again, you can catch me at Alvin Peters 76.
Before you save the world, you got to get in shape first.
Yeah. Well, truth be so listen. So I'm actually going to a physical training enhancement. So the Army says my height and weight do not match. So I'm going to remedial PT. I'm going with the fat kids.
But when you get back, you will be ready to save the world.
Yes. So when I get back from remedial PT, I'll be ready to save the world. So the good thing is I'll be going to Indiana for some good physical training. From my understanding, they're saying that I'm supposed to go. It's PT in the morning, nutritional classes, PT in the afternoon, nutritional classes. I think we're doing PT either twice or 3 times a day for like 2.5 weeks. So I think that's gonna be good. I'll be bringing sexy back, ladies. So if your man leave you at the altar, no, I'm not gonna marry you, but I'm not gonna marry you. But once again, you can catch me at Alvin Peters 76 on Instagram. That's Alvin Peters 76 on Instagram. You can catch me at alvinpeters76 at gmail.com. We got a slew of producers, hostesses, bartenders. If you're looking to have an event, get at me. Definitely get at me. Or you can catch me at BMW Freeport, 516-740-6132. LA, anything before we leave?
No, good show, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot. See, listen, women, you got 2 men discussing being left at the altar. See, last week we had 4 men talking about the engagement ring thing, and this week we got men discussing being left at the altar. See, men talk about this stuff. Believe it or not, we actually discuss this stuff, and we can discuss it very openly and seriously, and we're in tune with our inner feeling. You gotta. Yeah, that's important. So I may be a candidate for you to get married. So you're looking to get married, and you want someone that can cook, got a good 401k.
and I cook, but unfortunately I'm off the market.
He's off the market. So he cooking you lunch, and that's it. You can't stay over.
That makes you even more valuable.
Yes, I'm winning. So once again, thanks for tuning in to Alvin After Dark, brought to you by BMW Freeport. In LA, we out of here. So producer, thanks again.